Hello and welcome to today's coffee talk from Planet Fair. As we too do every Friday, we will be talking for exactly 8 minutes over this cup of coffee about the fastest ways to equal opportunities and to Planet Fair. And my name is Henrike von Platen and I'm talking with my friend
Margrét Bjarnadóttir with the biggest coffee cup yet of this series. Is that kind of Friday?
Wow. That kind of Friday is really huge. Your head nearly goes into it. I'm quite boring. I just always use maybe the same one because it's my favorite. I'm a coffee cup nerd.
How has your week been?
Oh, actually, I've had a very, very crazy week, and we've been having some talks with new and old companies. But also, it has been just a very crazy week in the sense of trying not to work too much and relax a little. But that's sort of not our topic. But it's interesting.
Yeah. So you mentioned you had been talking to companies. So I know you talk to a lot of companies, right? And they are in, I guess, very different places on their pay equity journey. So we keep kind of referring to this pay equity journey. So where kind of on that journey from not having done anything to being a leader are the companies that reach out to you?
When they reach out new, of course, they are usually very much at the beginning. But if I think about those that we've been talking to this week, especially also, we had those that are in the beginning. They come and they see also certification, universal fair pay check and everything. And then they see what they have to do. And then they start to be very secrety, I've found out. They sort of want to first say, okay, what do I have to do? How can I make it that the others don't know about it yet? Because you feel that they are unsure of what the result is going to be, and to make sure that they first sort of see it, and they think that once they've seen it, they can decide what to do about it, or maybe stop. Usually they never stop, they then go on. But that's sort of a moment in time which I feel, especially now, they have this notion of, I want to look at it, but please don't let anybody else see it. I don't like that very much, to be serious, but it's okay, because what usually happens, and I've seen that once as well, that once they've seen the result, sometimes the results are a lot better than what they even thought themselves. And then they want to show it, and then they want to not in a way show off, that's sort of too hard to say, but they do want to share the results and they want to improve them. And others are sort of at a point when they are very far ahead already. When we talk to those that have the leader status already, they are like in this, which I also like. I mean, you're never at the end of the journey. It seems to be no final point. So they are in a little place where they are like tweaking the last digits behind the comma and finding really interesting ways how to turn down complexity and stuff on their pay system. So it doesn't really matter where on the spot you are. That's sort of what, that has been sort of the last talks on that question. Yeah,
that's super interesting. So can I pick on something you said? You said something about reducing the complexity of the pay system. So for those who are kind of far along the journey, is that something you commonly see, that they start simplifying their compensation decisions?
Yes, and they even sometimes start at the beginning to make it more complex. We actually had that also the other day with a very small company, so that at the beginning, when they are thinking about why do you pay whatever you pay a person, where does the value come from that you decide to, and then they start to think about all these different kind of values and things that they pay for. And they find out, oh, maybe I need more, or here's something, because they want to explain the differences that they find, and they start to be beginning to be more complex to somehow explain a difference. And the further they go along the road, they all find out that all those very complex differences aren't really differences, but probably even very similar. And it's like you should see that it's like you put the same value to things that are really sort of similar, or you decide, is a doctor title something you want to pay extra for or not? Or do you pay for people being in the office longer or not? What are the values of the companies? So it's interesting to see that they start to fill in complexity because they think that they want to explain the gaps. What I like is when they start to close the gaps instead of explaining them and deciding, no, there shouldn't be a gap because the people are doing similar work for the same value sort of work. And then they go on the road and they find out it's too complex. Things are far too similar. You find pieces that are actually identical, where you say, okay, if I clean a table or if I clean a floor, it makes no difference. I don't want to explain that. I want to get it out of the system. And that's when you start reducing complexity, because you're really thinking not only about the multiple values that exist, but you are thinking about which values are actually the same. You don't have to end up with paying like those companies exist as well, where everybody just gets the same amount full stop, no matter what you do, because they say without anybody in the company, I still couldn't work. So it doesn't matter what exactly you do, everybody brings in something so we can work as a company and function. So everybody gets the same per hour. That's the very, very one-sided way to look at it. But yeah, it's true. Like you said, at the beginning, you add complexity and then you start to take it away again.
Yeah, I mean, I think that rhymes so perfectly with what we've been talking about, that yes, companies start out as doing pay equity as an auditing exercise, right? And there's a notion that, oh, you find something and then you explain it because it's an auditing exercise, and moving on to incorporating pay equity into your compensation processes. And then you don't want the system to be so complex that it's burdensome when you start making decisions around equitable pay. So yeah, I thought that the rhymes, you can map what you were talking about to kind of what we've been talking about, making and integrating pay equity into your processes. So for someone who is just starting out, and you only have 60 seconds, by the way, so you have to keep this brief. For someone who is just starting out, right? So what are kind of the typical measures or actions that you recommend?
Well, if you start out, the first action is lots of times the companies actually ask me, like, what's your favorite measure? What's the measure that we should take first, prioritize to close our gaps? I don't have like the first measure or the prioritized measure, because what I always say is I don't tell you anything about my favorites unless you do a sort of analysis of your pay structures, because only then can you decide on what is the right measure for this company, because it's not the same for everybody. It's not like anybody would need whatever kind of workshop and that will save it. No, it's like it very much depends on where the company stands, and you see that after the analysis. So when a company actually wants to start and they understand that that's the first step, my favorite is when they really see and they have like the drive and the power to sort of take away their blinds and really look at their numbers. That's my favorite moment, so to say. And then the measure will just follow.
Perfect. Right on time.
Wow. Which means I wish you a happy Friday afternoon and see you next week.
Yep, you too.
You get the questions then, and our guest speaker.
Oh yeah, it was delayed. It was delayed by a week. Yes, but next week
is the guest.
Stay tuned. Bye.
Bye.